when you're ready, just come to a comfortable cross-legged position. If you've been sitting for a while, change to cross of the legs. And as usual, pull the buttocks back and out the sides. You take your hands to the floor for a moment, press down, lift the chest up. Draw the lower back in, sit at the points of the buttock bones, at the tips of the ischial bones. Let that area be heavy. Let your legs be heavy, let your groins be soft, but press the hands down to make the chest light. Lift the rib cage up. And as the front chest lifts, soften the shoulders, let them descend down a little bit, keeping the chest lifted. Bring the backs of the hands to the knees or to the thighs. Now keep the head level over the shoulders, the chin roughly parallel to the floor. Close your eyes from top to bottom. Go again back to the base of the pose. Relax the legs, soften the inner groins. Feel again that you're sitting at the points of the buttock bones, not too far forward. Some of us who are more flexible might actually draw the lower back in too much. So see if you can find that you aren't too far forward or too far back on the buttock bones. And then from there, again, grow the spine all the way to the crown of the head. So that there's a sense of vertical extension. Maintaining this lift of the chest, this extension of the spine, relax the face, soften the forehead, the eyebrows, the temples. With your eyes closed, let the gaze go gently downwards, towards the nose, towards the floor, away from the mind, away from the brain. Relax the cheeks, soften the jaw and the tongue. Let the tongue rest at the bottom of the mouth and release it all the way down into the chest. And observe that this passivity that you bring to the face begins to encourage the mind to quiet down. And keeping the spine long and keeping the quietness and passivity of the face and of the mind, observe the breath without force or strain. Let your inhalations be a little bit more full. Let your exhalations be more complete. Release some of that residual air, that stagnant air that tends to lie at the bottom of the lungs. Clarify the lungs deeply. Now bring the palms together to your chest in prayer. Now keep the front chest lifting, keep the shoulders descending down, and just bow the head forward, surrendering the ego of the mind to the wisdom of the heart. Release your hands once again down to your thighs. Lift the head with eyes closed. And open the eyes. So we're going to start slightly differently today. We're going to be working on back bends, but I want to get the chest open first. So for starters, if you don't have an actual yoga blanket, you're going to want to have just your standard bath towel of good size. I mentioned that in an email, like a good size bath towel, whatever, or you have a yoga blanket, that's fine. You're going to fold the towel in half long ways and then roll it up fairly tightly about halfway. So get what you need. I have blankets, but I'm choosing a towel just in case that's what you have at home. Now, the intention is going to be to have the roll fairly tight, and depending on your flexibility, if you're more flexible, the roll will be more. If you're less flexible, the roll will be less. I want to show you what I do with this. Now that I have this roll, I place it on my mat. And strangely enough, this is not a precursor to what the class is going to be like, but we're going to start with a variation of Shavasana. This does not mean it's going to be a mellow class. It just means for the first 5 minutes, we're getting the chest open. But watch. So I have this setup here. And again, I have the softer end of the flayed, the leftover on the top end. I come to lying down on the roll where my shoulder blades are really flat on the roll, and then I slide myself over until my shoulders come to the floor and my head is on the floor. So I'm in this place now where my arms are sort of in a goalpost position. I'm lying more or less in Shavasana, but I have this feeling where the shoulder blades are being pushed, the tips are being pushed up into the back chest. So instead of my shoulder blades being flat, I feel them tilted and making this upper chest open. And you're just going to rest here for a bit. Once you have that support, and again, you can decide how intense you want it. If it feels like it's too much, just undo the roll a little bit. If it feels like it's not enough, add. And you'll notice also that even just after a minute or two, you'll find that maybe you can go a little bit deeper or less. But one of the things when I'm teaching that I most often notice is that people's shoulders aren't actually touching the ground. So make sure that you're not floating there. But again, come to lying down and feel. Make sure that you really do feel that the bottom tips of the shoulder blades are pushing into the back chest. Your upper chest, the rib cage, each rib should feel like it's spreading, like the ribs are spreading away from each other. And what's not unusual is to actually have a feeling of resistance at first, where maybe the abdomen tightens. And you might want to undo a little bit the roll if that happens, but once you're there, begin to tell the muscles of the chest and to tell the muscles of the abdomen to release and sort of submit to gravity's pull over this roll. There's a term in yoga called Samskaras, Samskaras, Samskaras. And what it translates to is impressions. And generally what it means is sort of the impressions, the physical, physiological, mental, emotional impressions that we acquire over the course of our lifetime, that sort of creates our personality, the impressions of our existence, the language we speak, our upbringing, all these things are samskaras that create who we are. So in this way, as you're lying here, I want to create an impression for you to go back to for some of the other poses. We are going to be working on backbend, so I want you to sort of recognize the sensation of the tips of the shoulder blades pushing in. Recognize the sensation of the rib cage again expanding in the front chest. And the pictures that I showed you, the BKS Iyengar practicing, you saw that they were pretty much all backbends. What he says is, as we get older, backbends become more and more necessary. And it makes sense because if you look at people as we get older, look at all of us as we get older, we begin to sort of, gravity pulls us down, our chest begins to collapse, our shoulders sort of round, these kinds of things. So there's, and of course that has a psychological, physiological effect where you're reducing oxygen capacity, lung capacity. So part of this is just sort of getting us, again, a sense of familiarity, getting this impression of the feeling of the roll behind you and feeling this expansion of the upper chest, sort of resisting the gravity's pull and this close of the chest that happens to us as we get older. Keep the throat soft, keep the jaw soft. You're not going to be here much longer. Now, again, for this last minute or two, some of you might find you can go a little bit deeper. Maybe you can make that roll a teeny bit thicker for this last minute or so. If you want to make that adjustment, you can. But also make sure that it feels balanced left and right. You don't feel like maybe it's more under the right shoulder blade than the left. Be sort of like Princess and the Pea. Be very refining and feeling balance between both sides. But again, observe that sometimes there's just a tendency to resist, where the body, again, the abdomen and the muscles along the sides of the navel tend to constrict a little bit. You have to encourage them to let go to find more expansion in the upper chest. Good, now everybody bend your legs, take your feet to the floor. And then just gently roll to your side to come up. Press your hands down to come up. And you're going to get the blanket out of the way and go directly to child's pose. Adho Mukha Virasana. Have your toes touching, have your knees apart. Downward facing hero's pose. If you're unsure, you can look at the screen briefly. Toes touch, knees are apart, hands are shoulder width apart. As I always tell you to do, reach the chest, sternum, even the chin forward, and then bring the head down. But now here, even here, see if you can feel a little bit of that same impression, that same Samskaras of the rolled support. Imagine that same pressure is there. Try to access that same particular area. Keep, even though you're in this roughly forward bend position, struggle to maintain some sense of that open upper chest. And then come directly to downward facing dog, Gomakasana. Straighten the arms, straighten the legs. Have your feet about shoulder width apart, have your hands about shoulder width apart. Everyone lift your heels high off the floor. Get the legs very straight, cover the mounds of the feet, good. Now, looking at your heels, are your heels turning in a little bit? If they are, roll the inner groins outwards. Roll the hamstrings away from each other. If your hands are slipping, go up and grab the edges of the mat. Push the tops of the thighs, push the shins back to begin to reach, to begin to drop the heels towards the floor, straightening the legs, entering the pose, Gomakasana. Spread the inner knees from the inside out. So both inner knees should feel like the skin of the inner knees is broadening, not just vertically, but horizontally. From both inner knees towards the outer knees. Roll the inner groins back. And again, even here, begin to struggle to find a sense of that Samskaras, that impression in the upper chest and upper shoulders, to find more and more space in the same area. Good. Look between the hands, step or jump the feet forwards. Have the feet slightly apart, standing forward, bend Uttanasana. Take a few breaths here. You can take your hands to your elbows or keep the hands on the floor, but keep the legs straight. Good. Take your hands to your waist and come up. So I'm going to keep facing this direction. We're going to do a loose variation of sun salutation. So you can stand near the front of your mats, whichever direction is fine. Straighten out the legs for a moment. Bring the palms together at your chest. Take the arms up. Exhale, bend forward. Half forward bend, hands to knees or shins. Again, you can look at the screen. If you're unsure, you can look at me. Good. From here, bend your legs, step your right leg back. Lunge position to the left. Right leg straight. Now, both hands, if you're having difficulty getting the hands to the floor, you can get blocks or some support, but really straighten out the back leg. Step that right leg back. Look forward, reach the chest and sternum forward. Again, if you're unsure, you can look at the screen, look at how I'm doing it. I'm reaching, looking forward, opening the chest. And then plant the hand, downward dog. Adho Mukha. Keep the arms and the legs straight. Roll the inner groins back. Hamstrings away from each other. And again, see if you can find a little more of that Samskaras, that impression of the roll at the bottom tips of the shoulder blades to open the upper chest slightly. Relax the neck. Let the head hang. Let the head hang. Good. Step the right foot forward. Lunge. Reach that left leg back. Lengthen from your left inner groin towards that left inner heel. And even here, this inner groin needs to roll upwards towards the ceiling. The back leg, inner knee, inner groin should reach towards the ceiling as you extend your chest and sternum towards the wall in front of you. And then gently kick off the back leg 2 or 3 steps if you need to. Come to chair pose. Legs bent, arms up. Feel the weight in the heels. Press the shins back so the heels feel heavy. Press the heels to come out of the pose. Straighten the legs. Prayer pose. Tadasana. So we're going to do the same thing 2 more times. Prayer pose. Arms up. Exhale, bend forward to Uttanasana. Inhale, half forward bend. Look forward, reach your chest forward. Good, bend both legs, step the right leg back, lunge. Keep the right leg straight, both hands pressing into the floor. Reach the sternum and the chest forward as you extend from your inner right groin to the heel. And again, this inner knee needs to reach towards the ceiling. So instead of sort of letting that back leg slack, really awaken it. Send it towards the ceiling. Send your chest toward the wall in front of you. Plant the hands, downward dog. Straighten the legs. Roll the inner groin, downward dog, not upward dog, downward dog. We'll get to upward dog later, I promise. Spread from the inner groins outwards, from the inner knees outwards. Soften the neck, let the head hang. Let the head hang. Good, step the right foot forward. Lunge, straighten out that left leg. Again, the left inner knee, inner thigh should go towards the ceiling, and the left heel should reach towards the wall behind you. Reach the chest towards the wall in front of you. Like someone's pulling that heel back and you're reaching your chest forward. Good, kick off the back leg. More than one step if you need to, chair pose. Try to avoid the tendency to fall forward on the mounds of the feet. Keep pressing the shins back and feel heavy in the heels. And then press the heels down and come up. Prayer pose, Tadasana. Straighten the legs, lift the chest. Palms together. Arms up. Inhale. Exhale, bend forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, half forward bend. Exhale, bend the leg, step the right leg back. This time lower the right knee to the floor. Point the right toes back if you can. And now let the pelvic floor descend a little bit. Begin to straighten and lengthen this front thigh. If you're able to get both hands to the knee, you can, or take your hands to the blocks. Now actively press this back foot into the floor. Press the top of this right shin, right foot into the floor so you feel an awakening of this right thigh. The buttocks flesh should feel like it's going to the floor. Press the hands into the knee, lift the chest. And begin again to find the same pressure in the shoulder blades where that roll was. Take the arms up. Keep pressing the back foot into the floor, lift the chest, coil the upper chest, feel again that impression where the roll was. Look towards the ceiling. Good, bend forward, hands to the floor. Tuck the back toes under. Straighten the leg, downward dog. Gomakasana. Breathe. Let the head hang. Let the head hang. Soften the neck. Step the right foot forward. Lower the left knee. Point the left toes back. Good. Again, let your hips descend a little bit more. Find that lengthening of the front thigh, the front of the back leg thigh. Both hands to your knee. Now, again, actively press this foot into the floor so you feel that that thigh is sort of awakening. Press both hands into the knee, lift the chest up. The tailbone should feel like it's going towards the wall in front of you. It should draw in. The navel should go towards the spine. Take both arms up. Now lift the chest, lift the sternum, drop the shoulders. Again, see if you can almost feel that same Samskaras, that impression where the roll was. And then begin to come forward. Step back once again to downward dog. Gomakasana. Straighten your arms, straighten the legs. Good. Look between the hands, step or jump both feet forwards. And then carefully come up. Good. We're going to go to warrior one pose, Virabhadrasana 1. Stand on your mats, facing the screen, or stand on your mats in the center of your mats. Take your hands to your waist to separate your feet. Now, we're not going to think about the arms at all to start. We're just going to work on the legs. Turn your left toes in, turn your right leg out, and then lift that left heel up and turn it farther back so your whole body now turns towards the wall, towards the wall in front of you. Now, think about this back leg. I've talked about this for the last few weeks. The back leg will be an internal rotation. So you want to feel that left inner knee rolling more, left inner knee more towards the wall behind you. The front leg is in that sort of external rotation. Your right thigh wants to roll from inside out. Now, keeping the hands on the waist. Again, like I said, think now about the tailbone. The tip of the tailbone should be pushing forward, deep in, underneath you. So the buttocks flesh should feel like they're going down. Now, keep your hands on your waist. Keep the back leg as straight as you can as you bend your front leg. Keep the back leg as straight as you can as you bend the front leg. Keep the chest lifting. Make sure that your right knee is directly over your right heel. Now observe the belly. Don't let the belly swell out. Take the navel in towards the spine. And you'll notice again the buttocks release towards the floor. Straighten out the leg. Hands to your waist. Go directly to the other side. Right toes in, left leg out. Lift that right heel up. Turn it farther back so it's a deeper angle. So you turn the whole body so it's facing the front leg. Now this back leg again. Now your right leg. Right inner knee, right inner groin needs to roll back so your right hip wants to come more forward. Your left thigh is in external rotation, rolling from in to out. Now stand on the back leg. Press the top of your right shin back to really keep weight on that back leg as you bend your front leg. So there's a very definitive argument, a fight between the two legs. That back leg really wants to keep straight and release back. Now again, the buttock, the tailbone, the tip of the tailbone should feel like it's pushing more forward. It helps to take the navel to the spine, and you'll feel that tailbone push in, and you'll feel that that back thigh resists almost against that. Good, straighten out the leg. Hands to your waist. Feet parallel, take the arms up. Urdhva Hastasana, upward hands pose. Now, keep the chest lifting, turn those left toes in, turn the right leg out, lift the left heel up farther. Roll it back. So your whole body, again, is turned towards that, the wall in front of you, towards that straight leg. Keep the arms up, keep the arms straight. Lift the chest, but drop the shoulders. And again, even here, find that Samskaras, that impression of the roll. Feel the bottom tips of the shoulder blades sort of pushing in. Now, stand on the back leg as you bend your front leg. Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1 pose. Keep that back leg straight. Roll that left inner groin, left inner knee back. Take the buttocks flush down, the tailbone forward, navel to the spine. Lift the chest. Lift the rib cage. Good, straighten the leg. Keep the arms up. Directly to the other side. Right toes in, left leg out. Deepen the angle of that back foot. Straighten out the arms as much as you can. So instead of them sort of being bent, if the arms are a little bit bent, they don't connect to the chest. If you really get the arms straight, you'll notice that they integrate with the chest more. Now keep pressing the right shin, right thigh back, right inner groin back as you bend your left leg. Warrior pose. Go on in. Now you'll notice when you bend that front leg that your buttocks, your tailbone kind of wants to connect to the back leg. And you want to try to undo that a little bit. Draw the tailbone forward, scoop the tailbone forward, buttocks flush down, navel a little bit more to the spine so you feel that awakening in the middle back chest. Again, feel the impression of the roll, that same spot, deepening and lifting and finding space in the upper front chest. Good, straighten the leg. Hands to your waist, feet parallel. Walk them together. Tadasana. Relax the face, relax the throat. Does everybody have a strap or a towel, a small towel? We're going to be doing cow's head pose, Gomakasana. If you need any kind of support, have it. But come to standing in the center of your mats. Have your feet a little bit apart. If you need the support, you can take the strap over the right shoulder if you're using the strap. And take your right arm up. Your left hand grabs your right arm. Grab that right arm and roll. Roll the tricep forward. Roll so your palm begins to turn back. But don't let go. Don't let go of the tricep, bend your arm. Now keep that elbow aiming up towards the ceiling, extend your left arm out. Now the whole arm rotates. I shift from the shoulder blade to rotate that arm, and then find the fingers, find the strap. So I'm on my knees just so you guys can see. You guys can stand up if you want to. Roll that right tricep forward. I just wanted you to be able to see closely what I'm doing. Roll that right tricep forward. Inject the upper arm into the socket a little bit so it doesn't feel like it's reaching out too much. Relax the face, relax the throat. Good, release. For a moment, just take both arms out to the sides and then down. Other side. So you're going to take your left arm up. Use your right hand, grab that tricep, and really manually turn the entire arm rolls. And don't even let go of the tricep. Bend at the elbow. Extend your right arm out. And it's the same thing. Lift that whole right shoulder blade up. Feel that rotation at the source of the arm. And then bring them together. Keep rewrapping that left tricep more forward, but inject the upper arm down into the socket. So it shouldn't feel like the upper arm is leaving the socket. Relax the face, relax the throat. Good, gently release. Arms out to the sides and down. Good. You're going to have that strap again. If you're unsure you can see me, I'm holding the strap with the palms facing away from me, facing forward. Now straighten out the arms, and here again, roll the triceps towards each other, the biceps away from each other. Feel that external rotation of the arms. Keep the chest lifting, you make sure you can see, but drop the shoulders down. Now, don't take the shoulders up, but take the arms up as much as you can. Keep turning the elbows outwards, keep the shoulders descending, take the arms up. Shoulders outwards, tops of the shoulders descending, take the arms up. Good, release. Come out. Come back to your mats. Watch me briefly. We're going to work on some belly down back bends. Shavasana locust pose. Watch what I do. I'm lying down on my belly. The first thing I do, and just pay attention, just really watch and listen, especially for those of you who have any lower back problems. I'm lying down. The first thing I do is try to lengthen my ribs away from the hips. So the hips are sort of dead weight, and I drag the front ribs away. This creates a little more space in the lumbar. Again, I get the strap in my hand, same position as we just were. The palms are going to face toward the floor, but I roll the triceps away from each other. Triceps towards each other, biceps away. In one fell swoop, I lift the chest and the legs. And I pull the strap away. Lift the chest, lift the leg. Release, come down. You can just turn your head in one direction or the other. Come to lying down on your bellies. If you're on a hard floor, you might want to get your blanket or something under the abdomen. It might be a little more comfortable. It's up to you. Now, again, work to find that length. So just let the legs and hips be dead weight and press the forearms down and just try to begrudgingly drag your abdomen, your bottom ribs away from the hips. Create space there. Find extension in the spine. Create traction. And then once you've found some space, come to your chin. Take your arms by your sides. Down by your sides, grab that rope. Grab the strap. So it's the same position of the arms you just did when you were standing up. The palms are going to end up facing down. Give yourself a little distance. The hands should be about shoulder width apart, at least. You can be a little more generous if you need to. Now, so the use of the strap and that traction will give you a little more leverage. Now, the legs the inner legs, inner thighs, inner knees need to go up faster than the outer knees. Inhale, take the legs, take the chest up. Go on up, lift the chest. Now imagine I'm there pulling your shoulders back. Imagine that roll again, that same impression in the back chest and the shoulder blades. Lift the chest, lift the legs, look up. Even the eyes, not just the face, but the eyes should look up. Good, release, come down, arms by your sides. Turn your head in one direction or the other, just rest for a couple of breaths. Just relax. So you just relax and listen. When you're doing the next round, when we do this, I want to reemphasize what I didn't really talk much about so far in class, is just that interaction between the inner thighs and the tailbone. The tailbone in this pose should drill towards the floor. The inner groins and inner thighs should roll upwards towards the ceiling. So there's a strong internal rotation of both legs, while at the same time you're trying to pierce the tailbone into the floor, especially for those of us who have maybe issues with the lower back. We're going to do the exact same pose. Do the same preparatory work. Come to your elbows, release the bottom ribs away from the hips. Find that space, that traction. And this time I'm going to do one step more. Lift the back leg up, reach it farther back, reach the other leg, alternating the leg from the thighs towards the toes. So you really feel like the whole front body is getting longer. Come to your chin once again. Get the rope. So that there's external rotation of the arms. Your inner elbows already should, before you even go into the pose, should be rolling outwards. Your triceps should be rolling towards each other. And the arms should be going away from the ears, as if someone's pulling your hands. Now in one fell swoop, inhale, lift the chest, lift the legs. Reach the hands back, roll the inner groins, inner knees towards the ceiling, roll the triceps towards each other again, lift the chin, lift the chest, but even look upwards. Turn the gaze of the eyes towards the ceiling. Good, lift them down. Turn your head in the other direction. Take a few breaths. So some of you who have been in my classes, you might know where we're going to go next. This variation, we're going to do a very similar pose. The difference is your legs are going to be bent, your toes will touch, but your knees will be apart. So already, go ahead and bend your legs. And if you're unsure, you can see from this position, my knees are going to remain apart, but my toes are touching. Now I'm just going to even describe it to you. What I'm going to have you do is, when you're going to do the same thing, using the strap, all that stuff, you're going to go up into the pose, lift the legs off the floor, lift the thighs off the floor. And then my request is going to have you try to push your knees together with them off the floor. And you'll see how difficult it actually is. Come lying down once again. Grab the strap as you need to, lengthen the thighs away from the abdomen a little bit. Now bend both legs. Touch the big toes together, but keep the knees a little bit apart. Bend the legs. Point the toes toward the ceiling. Touch the big toes together, but keep the knees apart. Now, again, awaken the arms. Get the arms prepared. Straighten out the arms. Draw the shoulders back. Inhale. Lift the chest. Lift the legs. Reach the arms back. Lift the chest. Now, push the knees into each other as you drill the tailbone down. Push the knees into each other as you drill the tailbone down. Lift the chest. Lift the chin. Release, come down. Arms by your sides. So I'll just go out on a limb and say that that's extremely difficult, right? And there's almost a feeling like for some of us, you might feel like the hamstrings are cramping a teeny bit when you do this. For those of you who have overstretched your hamstrings, who've strained your hamstrings, this exercise is actually really good to help them heal. Good, everybody come to your hands and knees and come up. Let me show you just sort of the classic version of the next pose, and then I'll show you a couple of variations. We're doing the Strasma Camel's pose. It's this pose where, again, where I'm on my knees, my heels cover the hands, I lift the chest up. Now, this is where I mentioned in the email that a chair can really be helpful here. Now, if you have blocks, that's great. If you have something else you might want to use, you're welcome to. But you can see when I use a chair, I can get my legs underneath the chair, and I can just use the chair's seat or the legs for some support for the back bend. So I'd recommend, if you have like any kind of kitchen chair or a folding chair, you might want to have that. If you don't, it's not the end of the world, but it might make your life a little easier, might help you be able to get more deeply into the pose. So I'm going to demonstrate first with the chair, so we can all do it that way, and you can do however you want. and then I'll go without the chair. But what you want to do first, just come to your hands and knees and then come up. So whether you're at the chair or not is fine. Just come to your hands and knees with your hands to your knees with your hands on your waist. Now, again, the feet need to push into the floor, and the buttocks flesh should go to the should come downwards. Push the tops of the feet, push the shins down, so there's no collapse in the abdomen. So you should feel an awakening of these thighs. Now, hands on tops of the buttocks for a moment. Push the buttocks flesh down into the floor, and again, feel that tailbone tucking in and going deeper. The tip of the tailbone should be pushing forward. Push the buttocks flesh down, lift the chest up. Push the buttocks flesh down, lift the chest up, begin to coil back. Find the chair seat, find the chair legs, find the heels, find the block, whatever you're using. Take the hand to some support. Keep pressing the feet into the floor. Tailbone in, lengthen the sides of the navel, and again, find that Samskaras in the back chest. Coil in the upper chest. Lift the chin, look up. The gaze of the eyes themselves should go towards the brain. Press the shins down, tailbone out, tailbone in. Press the shins down to come back out. Come back now if you're able to. Just kind of sitting on the heels. If this is uncomfortable, you can come to all fours for a moment. We're going to do the same thing again. I want to emphasize something, and I'll show you this time without the support. To quote, so you saw BKS Iyengar, I showed you the pictures at the beginning of class. His daughter, Gita Iyengar, she was sort of the matriarch of the system, and she says that for this pose, for Strasma, that the intelligence of the pose comes from the shins. The intelligence of Strasma comes from the work of the shins. What that means is those suckers need to be pushing down. So sometimes when I teach class, I'll have everyone sit back and really feel those shins pushing. The quadriceps are doing the work. And again, it's all to protect the back and find that space. So the shins are really actively pushing into the floor to help me find the lift in space and opening the chest. So we're going to do it one more time, but I want to really emphasize how hard the legs need to work. And you probably, and again, in those photos of BKS Iyengar, his legs are like tree trunks. His thighs are just at 80 years old. It's really amazing. So last time in Strasma, however you choose to do it, on your knees, if you're doing the complete pose, press those shins down, really press the tops of the feet down. In fact, sit back a little bit so you feel those shins doing the work. The buttocks flesh should feel like it's dropping towards the floor. Tailbone should push forward. And now push down and lift the back ribs up. Feel the same sort of impression, again, of the towel, the roll, blanket under the shoulder blades. And then you can slide the hands down the back of the thighs, find the heels, find the chair, find the block, whatever you're using. Don't lose the integrity. Find the intelligence of the pose by pressing the shins down. Press the shins down, lift the back bottom rib cage directly towards the ceiling. Bottom tips of the shoulder blades should push into the back chest. As the upper chest coils, look upwards, look backwards. Good, release. Carefully come out. Whew. Everybody okay so far? Yes? Thumbs up at least? Okay, good. So we're going to go straight to bridge pose, and you'll see the similarity between these two poses. I'm lying down. I would like to have some contact. If you can't take your hands to your feet, you'll take your strap. Have something to support yourself with. Same idea, roll the shoulders down, press the feet down, lift the hips up. But even here, if my shins were on the floor, you could see the similarity in the shape of the pose. I keep rolling the outer shoulders down, press the feet up, tailbone again, up towards the ceiling, inner groins, the inner knees, down towards the floor so that the knees don't splay out. Get yourselves ready, get the support you need. Now you're gonna have a block or have some, if you can get a block or some sort of kind of support, I'd really encourage it. Even that rolled blanket, because this is the last of the back bends anyway. I want you to be able to stay here for 3 or 4 minutes without having to beat yourself up too much. So the feet are about hip width apart. If you can't contact your hands directly to the ankles or hands under the heels or something. Get a strap, get a towel to connect your hands to your ankles, to your feet. Now roll a little bit to your left, tuck the right shoulder under, roll a little bit to the right, tuck the left shoulder under. Same thing, there should be external rotation of both arms. Your biceps should go away from each other here. Your hands should feel like they want to turn away from the body. Now press the inner edges of the feet down, lift the hips up, lift the tailbone up if you haven't already. Rewrap those outer shoulders. Pierce the tailbone towards the ceiling. Feel the tops of the buttocks flesh going towards the backs of the knees. And even here, it's not, you might, if you're working hard enough, you might notice again a similar cramping feeling in the back of the hamstrings as you did maybe in that variation of locust pose, Shavasana. Don't push the head into the floor, don't turn the head. Don't, keep the throat very soft, keep the jaw very soft. But just for now, be active. So we're not using support. Intentionally draw the inner groins down as you intentionally, there it is, Gus, I saw that, as the tailbone pierces up. And struggle again. Now, for a moment, maybe you can sort of invoke Iyengar in your own body based on those pictures, and just see if there's a teeny bit more space you can find. Now, from here, finally get your support. Get a block. If it's the rolled blanket, whatever it is, just some kind of support to keep your hips a little bit higher than the shoulders. And so you don't have to work too hard to do it. So you can just now sort of rest in this supported bridge position. Yeah, perfect, Gus. Again, just a little something underneath the hips. Relax the face, relax the throat. Be receptive and spacious in the area of the neck, the throat, the jaw, the tongue. Really sort of invite space and circulation there. To come out of the pose, let the legs do the work. Press the feet down to lift the hips up. Press the feet down, move the support out of the way. Let your buttocks go towards the backs of the knees, towards the heels as you come out, sort of releasing that lumbar spine a little bit. Good, just wrap your arms around your shins. Just hug the legs for a second. Roll a little bit. Good, release. We're going to go to reclining hand to big toe pose and variations. We've done this many times. This is the standard Pada Angushtasana, where you lie down on the ground, take the right leg up, strap on the foot. Now, what I want to emphasize, we've done a lot of back bending, not much forward bending. So even if you are more flexible, even if you can go quite deep, don't. Keep it at about 90 degrees. So lie down, have the strap on the right foot, and really have the strap directly on the mound of the foot, not on the arch, not on the heel. I give different instructions depending on what we're working on, but I really want to emphasize that the strap is right on the ball of the big toe. Now straighten out the left leg, straighten out the right leg, but again, don't worry about going past 90 degrees. You want to feel this aerial leg, outer thigh, and this is all just to sort of neutralize some of the lower back after the work. You want to feel there's even here a bit of an external rotation. You want to feel this aerial leg, this right outer thigh roll away from the outer hip, rolling sort of away from the abdomen, away from the torso. Press the right thigh towards the bone. Soften the shoulders, soften the neck, soften the throat. Keep grounding the left thigh and lengthening from your inner left groin to the inner left heel. Now take the strap just in your right hand, extend the left arm out to the side. Slowly lower the right leg to the right. And again, don't worry about going past 90 degrees. Here again, there should be a feeling of sort of external rotation, rolling the right quadricep more towards the floor, this external rotation of the leg a little bit. The right buttock shouldn't feel like it's riding up towards the lower back. It should feel as if the right buttock is being pulled a little bit towards the inner left foot. Relax the throat, relax the face. And come on back up. So it's a gentle twist now. Switch hands. Take the strap just in your left hand. Extend the right arm out to the side. Lower the leg, the right leg to the left. Let the whole body twist so your right shoulder to still remain on the ground while the right hip is lifting, so you feel the rotation, the twist of the spine itself. Good, come on back up. Now just for a moment, before we undo that leg, just keep holding on to the strap, bend the leg and just pump a couple of times. Just sort of just gently let that leg bend, pump, soften the release and hit the hip a little. Good, release. Start with both legs bent again. Release the lumbar, spread the lower back, and then get the strap again, right on the big toe mound, right on the ball of the left big toe mound. Take that left leg up, straighten out the right leg. Again, here, there should be sort of this slight external rotation of the left outer thigh. Left outer hip, outer thigh should go towards the right inner foot, away from the torso, away from the trunk of the body. Push the mount of the foot into the strap to stabilize the ankle. The ankle shouldn't collapse. There should be an active resistance with the mount of the foot that sort of stabilizes both the knee and the ankle. And then take the strap in your left hand. Right arm out to the side, lower that left leg to the left. Slowly, with intention, with awareness. And again, feel the external rotation of that left leg, where the top of the left thigh is trying to go to the floor, and you should feel that left buttocks flesh again. Sometimes when we start moving the leg over, you start feeling the left buttocks flesh go up towards the lower back. Adjust, and you can see I'm even crawling a little bit in the direction of the head, so I feel that the skin and the flesh of the buttock being pulled a little bit away from that lower back. Relax the throat, relax the jaw. Back on up. Switch hands, extend that left arm out to the side, lower the left leg to the right, gentle twist. Here again, you want to feel that left thigh roll a little bit away from the abdomen. And soften the muscles of the abdomen so that you feel your belly button almost going to the left, even though the leg is going to the right. And then back on up. Once again, pump just a few times. Good, release. Once again, wrap your arms around your shins. You can roll a little bit to the left and to the right. Happy babies pose, hands to your feet. And then release, feet to the floor, gently roll to your side to come up. So before we do complete Shavasana, I would like to try to have our legs up on something. So you can either take your legs directly up a wall, or if you have that chair again, you can just let the calves rest on the seat of the chair. Find some way to give yourself a little bit of a state of inversion. So you can, if you have a couch, you can rest the legs on the seat of the couch. If you have a bed or something, and again, if you have a wall, even better, take the legs up a wall. So as you guys know, there are many different ways you can approach working on a pose or sort of perceiving a pose or looking at a pose. One of the techniques that's sometimes used or recommendations that's used in yoga is within the science and philosophy of yoga, there are sort of the 5 basic elements that make up the world, make up the universe: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And each of these elements have different qualities. And essentially what you do is you try to just sort of use these elemental qualities to speak to the pose. So in this case, the quality of earth, the grounding, the heaviness, the solidness should be in the legs. Where they don't necessarily have to be rock hard, they don't have the musculature doesn't need to be there, but that sense of weight where you almost feel the weight of the legs injecting into the sockets of the hips a little bit. So you can again sort of feel the gravity and the solidness there. Now, those of you who are in legs up the wall pose, the Sanskrit name for this pose is Viparita Karani, but it doesn't translate to legs up the wall. What it translates to is inverted lake pose. So the element of water is already sort of instilled in the name of the pose. Your abdomen, that the area right where the legs start to settle into the body, the very lower torso, and the abdomen should be that, should carry the qualities of the element of water. Well, there's still heaviness, but it's fluid. It's softer. It's not as solid. Now, the area of most movement for almost all of us right now would probably be the area of the chest, the rib cage. Because we're breathing, and what happens when we breathe is we inhale, we take in oxygen, and that oxygen burns and creates energy. And heat is actually created in this area. So this is the element of fire. This is the most, where there's more movement than any other part of the body right now. And this is where the chemical reaction of oxygen burning is happening. So again, the elements and the qualities of fire are already instilled in this area of the body. Then you move up to air, the area of the shoulders, the neck, the throat, the jaw, the tongue, the sense of expansion, spaciousness, lightness. And then you get to the head, the crown of the head. There should be the element of ether, of dispersion, of complete sort of release, completely untethered. And we have just about 5 minutes left. If you'd like to remain where you are, you can do that. If you want to move to the more classic version of Shavasana, you can make that move now. If you've made that move, that transition, or even if you haven't, you can readjust, make sure that the buttocks flesh again are going away from the lower back. So there's no constriction there. one of the most important sort of philosophical, scientific, psychological aspects of yoga is the concept of drishta drishyayo. And what that translates to is the seer and the seen. Essentially what this is the seer represents our soul, our Atman, our highest self, unaffected by the material world, unaffected by the Samskaras, the impressions that have made our personalities. And then the seen is pretty much all that other stuff, is the material world, our world of existence, our thoughts, our actions, our experiences. But one of the primary practices of yoga is to be able to get that separation instead of believing we are our thoughts, separating ourselves as the seer and seeing the thoughts from slightly sort of from a stepped away perspective, from a distance. And the intention, of course, is to slow the movements of the mind enough to where we can start to see the space, the little quiet moments between each thought. And those quiet moments, those little spaces are those points where we're actually closer to the Atman, that higher self. But at this point, the intention should always be just to tell yourself to let go more and be that seer to the seen. Every time a thought comes through, every time some hardness comes to the body, just let go and just move on. And try to bring yourself to that again. Find those little spaces between thoughts. As opposed to observing the thoughts, observe the space between them. And try to lengthen that little time between each thought. There's nothing really exciting in finding stillness in the mind. To try to look for something would be misguided. To simply be is more of the goal. Now begin to let your inhalations be a little bit longer and fuller. And maybe observe, just because of the work that we've done, all the back bending, that maybe there's just a little more movement and capacity in the chest, more space there. And then bend one leg, bend the other. And then just roll to your right side, rest on your right side. You can rest your head in your right arm. If there's any strain in the back, bend the legs a little closer to the chest. And then to come up, push the hands down. Come to sitting. Well, good work, everybody. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Looks like we're heading into spring. Yay!
Thank you.
It looks like the vaccine is starting to really do its job too. So hopefully we'll be able to see each other face to face without masks in some not so distant future. But thank you guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Casey.